All right, are we ready to play?
Yes,
Do you want to share?
there,
Anybody want to share anything first?
there are clear instructions because I forgot everything about it.
Okay, yes,
So
and we're
do you
doing
have clear instructions for us?
right. I will give, I'm going to walk through it and then you can make variations that you want.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
not a whole lot different, but I found that just tweaking things a little bit ends up with very different results. At least they feel different to me. They may look the same, but they feel different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've been experimenting with going like outside of the like combining things that I've been
good.
doing. I posted some things that I've done on
Beautiful.
forum.
Fabulous, absolutely
Yes.
fabulous.
So, I've just been like an idea will occur to me, and so on the next one I do, I try it. But it's interesting because I in some ways I feel like they're more meaningful to me. But at the same time they are sometimes incredibly hard to resolve. Like I
Oh,
just
good.
it's
Good.
like there's so much more to doing
Yes.
them than what, just like putting the circles down and stuff. And
And
I,
you have to dig deeper and you have to really feel the balance and feel that sweet spot. I'm about to sneeze. I love the one that has those things coming out. And I think I commented how there's a pulling in and a pushing out and a pulling in. And I'm a very loud sneezer when it finally comes.
we'll wait.
We don't mind.
Yeah, but I
We
can't
sneeze
force
a
it.
lot too.
Yeah.
Well, while you're waiting for your sneeze, let me just show you I'm not going to be able to do this because I have it on. I have the background on.
Yes, where is it?
Uh,
This background. It's so beautiful.
Ah, that looks so funny. Woo!
oh,
No,
gee,
it's not
it's
working.
just not working at all. Well, I guess I'll have to turn my background off, but this one has been a real challenge as well. And I think I've mixed using a grid. This is my latest thing is that for the mandalas, I'll do the geometric pattern and then I put a grid in. And so I can choose between using the grid or using the circles and or a combination of that.
Now, what kind of a grid? Because I thought I understood what you meant by that, and then I wasn't sure. Is it a square grid of squares? What kind of a grid?
Oh, it's like a radiating grid from the center.
Oh, okay.
So every however many degrees I want to have at my disposal. So I could either do, if when I did some of those really complicated ones, those were every 10 degrees.
Oh,
I didn't necessarily stay in one square. I could combine them and I did, but it was every 10 degrees. And that was part of the woman that I studied with on Skillshare for that was, her name is escaping me at the moment. She's
Wow.
an Italian artist. And she has this huge black and white mandala behind her in her videos. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so big.
What did she do it in? Ink or paint?
I think it was ink, just ink on
Oh,
white paper. And it must be at least, I don't know, maybe a foot and a half in diameter.
wow.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't
Wow.
want to take up too much time here so I'm ready to go.
Okay. Jill, Suzanne,
yes.
anything to share?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Nope. Okay. So I'm going to switch to the desk camera and and I'll show you a couple of things and also just give you a little preview of what my thought is for the February. Okay. And then we'll start. So, um,
Yeah, we've got your overhead.
okay.
Yeah.
And is that okay to just leave it like that? Or do you want it to be full screen on this?
It's okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you're going to be doing your thing, so you don't need to really watch that close. This is a sketchbook that I made. I used the cover of an old encyclopedia
Mhm.
and some gold handmade paper, Coptic
Oh,
bound.
yes. I made some like that too.
Yeah, I love it. And all the pages are from paintings that the woman who taught me watercolor when her kids moved her to the Midwest, um, I ended up with all of her studio, her supplies, her furniture, everything. Um, and she had a lot of paintings that she hadn't completed. And I wasn't sure what to do with them. So I turned them into this book.
Oh,
So there
cool.
are things
Oh,
like,
oh,
like this. This
uh-huh.
was, I think it was part of the same painting. Um, so I'm working on the backs of things, but sometimes I also use this was I found, can you see it's a wrench
Yeah.
of some kind?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were several that she had drawn tools that she never painted in. And for for this, um, what we're doing today is something similar. This was one of the ones, and I'll explain it. On this page was one of the tools that she drew. This was a blank page. And as I was building this one, I hadn't painted anything yet. I kept looking at this tool that looked like the bottom of I don't know, kind of bulged out like that. And then there are these washer-like things. So I have no idea what it was. I know a lot of tools, but I never saw anything like that. And then there's this little wire thing. And I thought, what I wonder what will happen if I connect points from this drawing and build something from the drawing, kind of like backwards cubism, starting with something representational and not just jumping to making planes, but actually creating some geometric facets from something that's already drawn somewhat realistically. I mean, this was drawn very realistically. And then when I looked at it, I thought, I wonder if I can make the tool obvious again, which I don't think I did, but that's kind of what my train of thought was. And I started painting it in. I haven't finished yet. I may be finished with this. I haven't finished this one, but it was really fun. And the shifting, again, it was sort of the sensations that happen as you're working on these things and where your thoughts go and how it changes what you have in mind to start with sometimes changes. And I think that it's a really, really fun and great exercise to exercise that part of our art brain that doesn't get exercised when we're just manufacturing a painting or we're in automatic mode. Carol, like you said, when it was really hard to resolve those where you've stepped out of the directions, the pattern making, and then you have a whole new different kind of problem to solve. And that's where the creativity really comes in, is how do you uniquely solve your visual problems? And and those, I think that our creative geometry is leading us in a direction, not necessarily to finished pieces, but to really flexing that muscle, that creative brain muscle. All right. So for February, I'm suggesting that you do some line drawings, knowing on watercolor paper, um, and of a decent size. This is probably a 9 by 11 or 9 by 12 book, but whatever size you want. Anyway, something that we will then, just in pencil, then we will create, we're going to be joining lines up and creating sacred or creating creative geometry around transforming your drawing. Okay. So that will be next week. Now this, can you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This is another version of what we're doing today. It doesn't have to be that complicated. If you notice, there aren't all those lines that are going to the edge of the paper. Okay, when we take our measurements, that's kind of the difference. And Suzanne, with you in mind, I started to be concerned that by delving into this geometry, after we've encouraged you so to loosen up because you wanted to be loose, and your wonderful cats that are beautifully loose. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Oh, I'm not sharing. Duh. There we go. Okay. So I didn't want this to be tightening you up, which it easily can. So I've got to go back to the desk shot. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit scattered. Okay. So I did this morning, just splattering, I wet the paper, I sprayed the paper, I dropped some paint onto it. And today I'm going to do my drawing on top of this. Now you can't do that because it's not going to be dry enough. But you can also, I just wanted to use this as an example to just kind of be in the loose brain set anyway. And after you do a drawing like this one, wherever that one is, and what I will do is I'll just splatter some things on this before I go in and paint it. Now, lately,
Yes. Good.
I have not been inking things, and I'm not sure why. I just wanted to try it, and I'm sort of sticking with that for a while, but feel free to ink anything you want. I mean, you can make your own rules in terms of what you do with the drawing. Also, you can break the rules that I'm telling you. But I will guide you today through the rules that I've made for myself. Okay, but you're always welcome to, you're invited to make up some of your own and to break mine. Okay, but this, you can also, when you fill in these areas, Suzanne, if you are painting it in, you can do what you did with you can wet the whole area and drop ink into it, see what happens. Okay, but I do encourage you to be loose when you get the urge, and it's perfectly fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So starting on this, it's kind of a combination of different things. Oh, and I think this will be dark enough for you to see. I'm wondering, could you see it well enough in pencil when I did it before?
I can't see it very well. I can, it's it's very vague.
Okay.
Unless you had it, when you put it up close to the screen, then I could start to see.
Okay. So for this, I'm going to use a Sharpie so that you can see. It's going to be a very different effect, but that's fine. So you're going to start with 3 dots. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 2 of them are going to be relatively close because 2 of them, you're going to get dimension for a circle. So if you put it way over here, automatically you're off your page. So I'm going to put dot there, there, and 1 there. Now, what's different about what I'm doing this time around is that I'm not going to go all the way across. So I'm only going to connect the 2 dots. So instead of having lines all over the place that would then create a lot more shapes, I'm limiting some of the shapes created. Now here, I'm going to have to go with the compass. And then this dimension, I'll get from there. Now I don't have to go all the way around. Maybe I just go there. Oh, I guess that would be there. Okay, but I'm not going across here. And although this seems kind of trivial, it does really end up being different. Now I have 2 new points, this point and this point. So I'm going to choose to connect those points. Now that looks very different from what it would look like if I had carried the circle around. Now, what we were doing before, when we drew the whole circle and we drew lines all the way, we had a lot more to choose from, a lot more points. If this line went all the way up, then I'd have a point up here. Do you follow that?
Yeah.
But I had stopped it. I only went here and here. So I don't have that point. But I do have these points. Okay, so I can take another measurement and I'll take the measurement, a smaller measurement. It's not the handiest compass, but that one. And I can choose not to use it up there. I could use it down here. Just because I got the measurement from up here doesn't mean I need to use it there. And here, and I'm not going to go, well, maybe I will. That's just a little tiny one. And then it makes you look differently at your shapes because you're not looking at all kinds of things.
I've really taken to erasing lines when it's in pencil. It's like if I get an area and I feel like it's pleasing to me, I feel like it's settled, I erase the lines around it so that I'm no longer responding to them. And
Good.
I find that's been really helpful. And
Yeah.
I'm essentially doing what you're doing, but I don't have I'm not thinking it through like you are.
Um,
I'm just I'm doing more of the close your eyes and make just even little tiny marks with the compass. So
okay.
it's interesting that I feel like we've sort of come to this very similar place, only
I'm
two different ways of doing it.
I'm curious to know if it feels the same or differently in your brain, where if I had drawn this here, I would be seeing it and then choose to erase it rather than not seeing it at all, which moves you to a different place. So I'm never seeing this shape. Do you follow what I mean?
Yeah.
You are imagining it though.
Yes, I'm a mad. And so that's why, I mean, it's interesting to me to feel the different thinking depending on the rules you're making,
Mm.
even if the result ends up being the same. And what drew me to it was thinking about erasing some things, but I was working on the Reeves BFK where I can't erase because I ruined the paper. So I thought, well, I could move to a different paper and then erase them. And then I thought, well, what if I just don't make some of those lines? And I
Mhm.
did find that my brain was thinking differently. Um, so that's why I'm curious to see if you do it without erasing, but I mean, you can erase, but to just not make the whole line to begin with, if that feels the same or differently.
I think that just hearing you say it, it feels different to me
Yeah.
because
And
I'm not I'm I'm responding more to what I'm um, my decisions to make the lines become very different than when I've closed my eyes and I'm just making marks and then going, oh wow, look at that, and then responding to the lines and
yeah.
doing the erasing. So
And think about that in terms of, say, going out and painting a landscape, whether you paint landscapes or not. But if you've made a decision to do something, you're not always responding to your artwork. You may be responding more to the scene in front of you than you're responding to your artwork. And what I find that this geometry craze that we're on forces you to respond to what you're making, forces you to respond to the paper. And so that's kind of why I combined that tool. I thought, well, what if I combine a bit of reality and embrace it with geometry and see where I go from there? So I don't know. We'll just see where all this ends up. Or maybe it doesn't end up at all. It just is another tool in our basket for how to hijack our brain when a piece of artwork isn't going well and we want to get more life into it. Um, maybe we can use a bit of this geometry practice to come up with solutions. I don't know. Okay. So any questions on what we're doing? You're going to start with 3 dots. And from those 3 dots, everything will come. You can use your straight edge or a compass, and you're always, like before, you're going to take measurements if you're making a circle somewhere. Okay. So get a measurement from someplace, and you don't really have to do that. I don't really know why I do that. I was thinking about that this week because I wanted a smaller circle. So what did I do? I hunted like crazy on
Yeah.
on this
Oh, that's
on
funny.
this one. So
Yeah.
I knew what size circle I wanted, and it took me a long time to find 2 points that were that circle.
I'm fun.
Yeah.
That's
But
just funny.
that also it reinforced in my head that my intuition for that size circle was not bad because it did exist in here.
Well, I've been known to actually draw lines so that I get the size circle.
There we go.
I
I
need.
love it. Yes. And
I
okay,
think there's no hope.
no,
I think this is very funny.
that is exactly what I'm hoping happens. Because it what it is your art brain is so alive when you know that line, you want that line, and you're going to find it somehow. You're not doing it haphazardly. I think
But
it's great.
I think the whole point about that is harmony.
Yes, harmony, balance, rhythm, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And by looking at the sacred, well, I'll call it sacred geometry, looking at the geometry, there is harmony. You hardly can get away from harmony if you're working from information from the piece. And when your instinct for what's needed shows up to be something you could have gotten from this, then that's reassuring that you're intuitively responding to natural to the rhythms of the wavelengths, music, light, all of it is mathematical. And your artist within is tuning into that rhythm and is making great decisions when you know that there's a line you want. And then so you have to create a different line, but you are building the construction like a house, like a cathedral or something. You're putting in something necessary to build something more. And to me, that's art, you know. So we ready to go? So you can
Yes.
really do anything you want, as long as you're using a ruler and a compass.
I just feel like everything that you've said, I could say the same thing, but I come out with a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not, so I'm sitting here going, well, if I get an intuition that I need a line over here, I need a circle, I just do them. I'm not going to look for them in the drawing. It's like my whole thing is like, well, I've got to do that.
Right.
So it, I don't know. It's just fascinating to see your thinking versus mine, and then it comes out in the same place. You're in the flow, right?
Yes. Well, to be honest, if I weren't doing this art book club and presenting this today, when I first started doing dollars and mandalas and all, I mean, I didn't hold to any of this, but this is the challenge of teaching art or teaching a class. I could go in and say, well, here's a pencil, here's a ruler, here's a compass, just do anything you want. You know? And basically that's what I mean. But we have to make up these directions
Yeah.
and come up with some sort of explanation for it. So that's why if I'm telling you, you have to take a measurement from the drawing, I better do that myself too. But if I'm just working on a painting or something, I'm going to put it in, whatever I want to put in. And I may end up painting myself into a corner and coming back and having to change it. But I'm not good with restrictions at all. So that's why I keep saying, break my rules. Don't worry about it. Um, but if you don't know what to do next, fall back on taking a measurement somewhere and do something with it someplace.
Yeah, I love the look of the spattered paint.
Yeah.
It's like that definitely has piqued my interest in I mean, and I think ultimately I've been pushing towards trying to make it more um loose.
Yeah.
Like, I like
More organic in a way.
yeah, so I mean even my mandalas are changing.
Okay, good. I'm excited, and I haven't tried it yet. I'm excited about wetting one of these circles and dropping paint on it, like inspired by your cats, Suzanne. Because I haven't done that with this. I've thrown a lot of paint in my regular, my regular studio artwork, but I haven't done that with any of this geometric stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about that too. Oh, and if you want, just for the heck of it, like this, because I know that if I don't demo it, sometimes people are afraid to do it. So I'll just quickly do that if I can find a big brush. Oh. Someone give me a color. Name a color.
Blue.
Blue.
Can you put it so we can see that what
Oh,
you're doing?
sorry. Gosh,
No
thank you.
problem. Now I just see your picture, your static picture. There you are.
Okay.
Ooh.
Somewhere I have a spray thing. So you could start off, and at any point, like if you are going to take a bit of a break, have coffee, you can, on top of what you've already been doing, you can splatter some and it would dry by the time you get back. What I don't have handy here is a great big brush that you could just make a nice wet sweep. Okay, so after you do your careful drawing, you can completely loosen it up with something like that. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, now that I've got this all wet, I'll dab it off a bit so that I can work on the other one. Okay, you ready to go on yours?
Yeah.
All right, 137. We'll do 20 minutes. I'm sorry I took up so much time with that explanation. In 20 minutes, we'll take a look at what we've done, okay? How are we doing?
Doing.
I'm having a great time.
I want paint.
Well,
But
you can jump into paint.
no, I'm just gonna, I feel like it'll totally distract me picking a palette and everything because that's how I am. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing now.
And it will be waiting for you to add color when you want.
Yes, I'm reevaluating whether to ink this or not.
I kind of like the Sharpie marker. I never used Sharpie for artwork of any kind. I don't think. I mean, I've used the narrow ones. Okay, How did people do?
I got a good start.
Oh,
Good. Suzanne,
it doesn't make much sense, but I tried.
was it fun?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you hold it up?
Oh, you don't see much. It's only pencil, and I added some color now. I
Okay.
start.
Hmm.
One can't see much, I think.
And it looks like an overlay. It looks like it's
Yeah,
transparent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And how did your brain feel as you were doing it?
Oh, it was not so easy for me. Yes, I looked for pleasing parts, but they were not easy to find.
So if you used the compass more or if you used the ruler more, do you think that you would be more pleased by curves or straight things?
Oh, I'm not sure. Looking for things between or a combination of the two, I would say.
Okay, because you
I
can
would,
always, even after you start painting it, you can go back in
yeah,
and make more lines and more
yeah,
circles.
yeah, yeah. Of course, yes, 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 yes.
And it does
Yes,
help
I
to
want
do.
to paint in some circles too.
Okay, can you hold it up again? I didn't see circles. It's very hard, I know, when we're drawing
Oh,
in.
yes. Oh, no.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made quite a few circles, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not really pleasing or harmonious. I
Well,
must,
it might be. You
yes,
haven't
I
gotten
must
very
work
far.
on it a bit longer, much longer, I think.
And I do like the effect of it not being outlined in ink.
Mhm,
The transparency reads more clearly when it's
mhm.
not outlined in ink.
Yeah. Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's and the other option you have is to ink some of the lines, but not all of the lines.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jill, how did you make out?
Right, okay, well, this goes against the grain here because I drew some lines and circles and then I thought, right, I'll just put some wet in some areas and throw some paint in, but then it wasn't filling the shape. So I've tried to tease it out to fill the shape, but of course, because it's very wet, it's not within the shape. So now I'm not sure if I'm just throwing paint around or not throwing paint around. So I'm finding it quite challenging. I'll
Wow.
have to decide what
Yeah.
I'm going to do, I
I
think.
like it. I
Oh,
like
it
how it
looks good.
looks.
I
Yeah.
like this top one where it's sort of a
Mhm.
tonal thing, but the
Yeah.
others just look as though I'm a bad painter within the line.
Well, you just started it, and if you were watching, I mean, in terms of staying within the lines, with Suzanne in mind, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't stay inside
And I
of
think it's
lines.
got to be one or the other. And I think what I'm struggling with is mine is neither one or the other. If
Well,
you
we'll
see,
see, because when this totally dries, I'm going to put a glaze just
yeah,
within the lines. So we'll see how that goes.
yeah.
Okay. Carol, we didn't see yours yet, did we? Okay. Wow, you got a lot of lines in there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Nice.
I'm really into having just these little tiny bits of lines. And then some of them go in circles or they're parts of a circle.
Uh-huh.
I usually put them on with the compass.
They're drawn with a compass, are they? So it's like a
Yeah, you can
starter.
you can see it more clearly here where I'm using the compass to do
Ah,
dotted
yes.
lines.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. You are breaking away from the mandala.
yes. Well, I am, and then I'm taking things and putting them in the mandalas.
Yeah, yeah. And then
So
rounding some edges and things like that. Oh,
yeah, so I feel like um I don't think I followed your directions because I ultimately, when I sat down to do it, it was like, I don't really understand what the difference is. So I just went ahead and did.
fine. Perfectly
I know it's
fine.
fine. It was funny that I was like, my brain went, well, I don't, maybe if I had some paint on the page, but without the paint, I don't really know where to start other than what I usually do. So I did more measurement kind of things.
Yeah.
And there was one place where I was making a circle, an arc of a circle, and it exactly met this straight line that was coming, and I did not measure it at all.
That's fun when that happens too.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, wow, I probably couldn't have gotten it that exact.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that next time, the first Monday in February should be quite different when we're starting with the line drawing of something. And
So
then
you want us to do a line drawing?
yes, and do a few so that you have some options and you can work on more than one at a time. What I'll do is, well, maybe, is I'll go back into this one that I showed you, the wrench that's in this sketchbook. Um, because it was kind of fun to do it from something that I didn't draw.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's also, I will also try one from a contour drawing or something that I've done. And then you can have a lot of points that to connect. So um, yeah, it was really, really fun and very different doing that screwdriver like thing, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as I started to paint it in, I kept changing the direction I was going. What I had in mind to start with, I kept saying, "Oh, I think that might be a little bit more fun." So I just went with that feeling of it's in my sketchbook, doesn't matter what will happen if I do this. And I think that my first idea was more boring compared to this one. And let's see. So um, it was fun. And then I thought, wow, what would it be a drawing of a plant? And that's when I started thinking in terms of it being reverse cubism. Um,
Yes.
which was kind of a strange, I'd never thought of that before. But anyway, um, down more rabbit holes. Yeah. Um, okay, so next week we will go back to, and I keep wanting to say Janice Pollan, and I
No,
know that's not the name.
Jason.
Jason Pollan, yes. We'll look at the work of Jason Pollan, okay? So that was originally planned for today, and I forgot it was the first Monday of the month. Moving deeper into 2025, hoping for the light at the end of the tunnel to be a
Yeah.
bit brighter.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Have an excellent week, and I'll see you all
Yeah.
next Monday.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
great to see you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
Stay
you.
safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.